The financial sector was forced into a period of inward reflection after the collapse of Lehman Brothers, and I asked Reid from Citibank about the fundamental regulatory changes in the forex industry.
We've certainly seen the impact of uncertainty as the regulatory environment changes. At the moment, the FX industry is suffering in a sense from a great deal of uncertainty as the regulatory situation is rather unclear. It appears right now that spot foreign exchange is going to remain as in a sense, unregulated market. Currency options, currency forwards look as though they will become subject to some form of regulatory oversight. However, the extent of that regulatory oversight is as yet to be decided, and so there's a great deal of debate in the industry as to exactly what's going to be happening as we move forward.
But is there any way to actually regulate spot trading, as there's no central market? Does a body have to be created to regulate it?
No, that's right. And I personally, I'm not sure that there is. The one thing to bear in mind through the whole of the financial crises of 2008 was that the spot foreign exchange market behaved extremely well. Both operationally, both from an operational point of view, from a market price point of view, there were really no sort of problems. And I think that the regulatory bodies, both in the US and in Europe, recognise that, and have also recognised the long history of the foreign exchange market as being very effectively self-regulated in a sense.
For a retail trader, what signs are there that they should be looking out for when they're trying to choose a good, honest broker?
I think that the key thing for choosing brokers in the FX market is to not just look at the obvious, not just look at the fancy website, not just look at price, but look at things like, when you're doing your documentation with them, how onerous does that seem? It seems bizarre, but in a sense, the more onerous the documentation, probably the better off the broker, the more honest, in a sense, the broker will be. I'd say, and this is certainly from my, as a personal point of view, if something, and this is, goes through life, I think, if something seems too good to be true, it is. And so I would, I'd steer very, very carefully, or I would look very carefully if offers around, extreme degrees of leverage are on the table. If things seem too easy, then I would sort of think very carefully. You want to broker, the best of the retail platforms are the ones that have a great deal of oversight. They are working very closely with their banks, with their service providers from a liquidity point of view, from a prime brokerage point of view. They are looking at working closely with their national regulators and making sure that they're really providing a very good service.
You touched on leverage there. Often traders can be exposed to very high leverage. It seems very tempting, there's these options of 715 to 1. When retail traders especially are looking at websites, what's really realistically the maximum sort of leverage they should be looking at?
Well, it's difficult to say. I mean, personally, I would if you're looking at it may seem very tempting to get enormous degrees of leverage, but with that comes a concomitant amount of risk, and so I'd be very wary of that. I mean, I think that from a strong disciplined trading point of view, if you're looking at leverage that's more than 100 or 100 to 1, 50 to 1, even 100 to 1, I think that you're probably not really needing much more than that. If I'm being honest, if you think that your trading strategies are dependent on degrees of leverage that are more than that, then you need to be really looking at the risk controls that you've got in place.
How do you see the forex market developing going forward? Dukascopy has the Swiss forex marketplace, lots of liquidity. Do you think that's going to be something that's become more and more common with technology advancing all the time?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen a very consistent growth in the retail space around the world, and the extent to which when I first started in foreign exchange, there really was no such thing as retail foreign exchange. Even if we go back 5, 6, 7 years, there was no such thing as retail foreign exchange, and the growth in it has been nothing short of astonishing, frankly. And I think that we're going to continue to see that develop. I think that we're looking, we are seeing in certain geographical areas in Japan, for instance, that there's more regulation around the retail sector, but there's still strong interest, still strong growth, and the underlying the underlying characteristics of the FX market, that it's, if we move away from the retail sector to the broader foreign exchange market, it's the biggest, most liquid market in the world, and we can take out, you know, retail foreign exchange, the platforms like Dukascopy and others that are out there are giving traders access to this market with prices that are, you know, really very, very competitive to the interbank market. So I think it provides, you know, it certainly provides very, very good opportunity, very good trading opportunities for professional traders, for traders who are, you know, very, very clued up as to what they're doing. There's certainly risk involved in foreign exchange. I think everybody accepts that, but the rewards are there as well with a disciplined approach.
So that was Reid from Citibank, and remember, if you want to come to the Geneva Forex event, you can always register on the website. Goodbye for now.